looks like in the most granular levels and start celebrating some of those successes. This is what we think success looks like. This is Marshawn Lynch's beast mode run from 2010 in the playoffs against the Saints.
So we get into the huddle, and they call 17 power. I was like, oh, my God, I've been trying to get a power for so long.
Hey, don't roll this. Hit it downhill.
With power, you running straight downhill. You know where we coming, and we know where y'all going to be lined up at. Now you just got to stop it. I'm saying I'm better than you. Hey, so I see the guard come around, and in my head I'm thinking backside A-gap. But for some reason, it carried me to the front side. Bounce off the first tackle like, might be trouble. Split between Spencer's block, coming off of Sharper. He grabbed at my foot. I stayed up. I said, it might be trouble. Covered ball with two hands. One of my old teammates, Jabbar Greer, came over the top. He slid off. It's a good run now, but I'm like, it might be trouble. Tracy Porter came up. I gave him a little stiff arm. I stayed on my feet.
Get off me, he says to Tracy Porter. Are you kidding me?
We almost was running at top speed. So, I mean, any kind of shove right there would have, threw a man off course. This would be just a little baby stiff arm. Yeah, a little baby stiff arm. I believe it was Ellis, came from behind. I took a little quick peek at him and gave him a little stiff arm, still didn't go down. I know it's trouble. The next thing I know, Tyler shot in front of me.
Look at the hustle by Columbus.
They go make a block on Harper. Dive into the end zone, touchdown. And at the time, I'm just thinking like, what the hell just happened? Did this really just happen?
So that's what we think success looks like. All right, we think success, especially when you're first starting out, you think, you know what, I'm going to run over every obstacle. I'm going to jump over this. I'm going to stiff arm that. I'm going to, whatever it is you're trying to achieve, nothing is going to stop you. I'm going to score this incredible 68-yard touchdown. But the reality is you will be tackled. That's the reality. And so what is it, if you had to boil a running back's job down into just one thing, what would you say a running back's main job is? Advance the football, okay. Protect the football, okay. That's good. Anybody else? Okay, so I would say the team's goal is to advance the football and protect the football, and a running back has to do that. But I would say that a running back's main job is to get tackled. That's the main job. If I was looking for running backs, if I was recruiting this audience and say, hey, listen, I'm looking for running backs. I'm looking for people who can get tackled. Listen, if you're the kind of person who gets your leg broken every time you get tackled, I'm sorry for you, but I can't use you. If you're the kind of person who fumbles the ball every time you get tackled, I can't use you. If you're the kind of person who gets your feelings hurt every time you get tackled, I can't use you. Now, I'm looking for people who can get tackled, give the ball to the official, come back to the huddle, and run another play. That's the job. It is fundamentally the job is to get tackled. And then you learn to focus on, well, what will I accomplish before I get tackled? Can I get the first down before I get tackled? Can I get out of bounds and stop the clock before I get tackled? Can I make one guy miss before I get tackled? As a running back, I assume that I'm going to get tackled. That is accepted. I know that that's going to happen. It's just, what can I accomplish before I get tackled? And the same is true in all the things that we work on, that, yeah, you're going to have setbacks. You're going to have things that don't work out. How much forward progress can you make before you get to that point? I had one of my teammates, Steve Sewell, when I was my rookie year in the NFL, I would go on the field, and let's say I had to block a linebacker. And so I'm running up, I go block this linebacker, and he gets off of me, and he makes the tackle. So I come back to the sideline, and Steve Sewell would ask me, so what'd you learn? And I say, well, I learned that guy's better than me. And he said, oh, really? Is that what you learned? And I was like, yeah. I mean, I was trying to block him, and I couldn't block him. He's like, well, could you hear the quarterback? Could you hear the play in the huddle? Yeah. All right, so that's the first time you're on the field. And so now you know, despite 76,000 people you learn that you can hear the play, right? So did you know what you were supposed to do? Yes. Okay, so you learned that you studied well and you were prepared to play. Could you hear the snap count? Yes. he kind of walked me through all these things that I learned while I was out there, but I wasn't thinking about all those things. And then he started talking about, so when you hit that guy, what did you learn about him? I learned that he's pretty strong. Is he stronger than you? No, it seemed like we were about the same strength. Why do you think he was able to get off of you? I'm not sure. When we watched the film the next day, I could tell I stopped moving my feet. He kept moving his feet. That's why he got off my block and made the tackle. But Steve kind of walked me through this process of really thinking about what did I learn while I was out there on the field. And so I started to understand that every time I go out there, I'm making some forward progress. Regardless what the outcome of the play is, I'm making some forward progress. How do I start to catalog these things that I'm learning and really understand what is it that I gained from being out there outside of what the outcome of the play was? So I wanted to do some research on the best running backs in the history of the NFL. Naturally, I started with myself. For some reason, the NFL does not have me listed in their all-time rankings, but my mom is working on that. She's got a petition going, if any of you want to sign it. But I had 138 career rushes, 75 career catches. I scored 8 touchdowns. That means I had a scoring percentage of 3.76%. Basically, what that means, if you gave me the ball 4% of the time I scored a touchdown, 96% of the time I got tackled. Then I wondered, well, how do I compare against the best? Emmitt Smith scored more touchdowns than any running back in NFL history, and right away, look at his scoring percentage. Not quite as good as mine. He's in the Hall of Fame. I'm waiting for my jacket to come in. But, I looked at LaDainian Tomlinson at 4 1/3, Marcus Allen at 4, Walter Payton not as good as me, Jim Brown almost 5, Barry Sanders wasn't as good as I was, Adrian Peterson was at 4, Marshawn Lynch worse than me, and Terrell Davis both worse than me. And so, if we're just going to keep count, I should be a little bit higher on this list than I am. But, my point is that these are the greatest running backs in NFL history, and the best of them is Jim Brown, that Jim Brown had a scoring percentage of roughly 5%. You give Jim Brown the ball, he scores a touchdown 5% of the time. He gets tackled 95% of the time. That's the reality. The job is to get tackled. And we're all getting tackled. We get tackled all the time. You get tackled at work. You get tackled in your personal life. That's the reality. You're going to get tackled. Just kind of accept it. Don't try to avoid. You should avoid you should avoid tackles. Right, you should avoid tackles. But don't try to avoid them to the point that you run yourself out of bounds. Don't try to avoid them to the point that you think getting tackled is failing at your job. It's not failing at your job. Getting tackled is a normal part of the job. I'm in the sales business now, and I would say, 1 in 20 is about right. You're on 20 sales calls, you're going to make a sale 1 time out of 20. And the rest of the time, you're going to get tackled. But what can you learn? What have you learned? What forward progress have you made that's going to help you move forward? You look at rushing average. Jim Brown leads the pack there, too. You give the great Jim Brown the ball, 5 yards later, he's going to be tackled. And so football players and teams start to learn that it's not about scoring plays. The scoring play is the result of a process that you followed. During games, you hear announcers say, all right, that was a 12-play, 80-yard drive, a 9-play, 60-yard drive. That means that over the course of 9 plays, the team marched steadily down the field, and they scored on that 9th play. But they got tackled 8 times before that. And if you showed up on the job for the first day on the job and it was a 1-yard run and the running back goes in and scores, and you're like, man, this is easy. So that's it, huh? give me the ball and I go 1 yard and I score a touchdown. Well, yeah, you didn't see the 10 other plays we just ran where we got tackled, and you didn't see the punt, the drive before that, and the interception and the fumble before that. Yeah, there's a lot of tackles and a lot of things going on. But yes, we scored a touchdown on this play because we kept marching down the field. All right, so as a team and as a teammate, be prepared to make adjustments. This is my old teammate, Terrell Davis. I was going to use a picture of myself here. I was also a fine player. Whenever I show highlights to my son, who's 14, I always think he's going to say, Dad, you were fast, or Dad, you were good. He always just says, Dad, you were skinny. Like, what? I still am quite slim. You just have to compare me to different things. I was going to use a picture of myself, but I had several nicknames while I was in the NFL. None of them were flattering. One of them came from something that Gale Sayers said back in the day. Gale Sayers was a great running back with the Chicago Bears. He once said, just give me 12 inches of daylight. That's all I need. So the expression run to daylight was invented. Well, one of my nicknames was run to darkness because I tended to run into my own teammates, the officials, the other team, whatever was out there. So we'll leave me out of it. So Darrell had great vision. And as a team member, your teammates are going to be working hard and they're doing the best that they can. You've got to be prepared to make adjustments. Yeah, you're going to have to jump over this or spin out of that or adjust your course. You're going to have to try to do whatever you can to keep advancing forward because that's your job. Know that you're going to get tackled, but advance as far as you can and make those adjustments. If you don't make those adjustments, it's that dynamic environment that you work in, then you become like Mark Sanchez in the infamous butt fumble. If you Google the term butt fumble, this is what comes up. As he's running to the line of scrimmage, all he can see are green jerseys, his own team's jerseys. And so that's what, as a running back, we call that having a hat on a hat. So then you just have to choose a hole to run through, not that one. Hey, thank you guys very much for having me this morning. If you guys have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to take them. We have a few more minutes there. We're going to see who can last longer. Yes, sir. Angus, that's a good question. How'd you get into beef? You were born into it. My dad was a Baptist preacher when I was growing up. And so I started speaking in church when I was 8 or 9, reading the announcements. And it was like, on Thursday, the choir will meet. Anyone else? All right. Well, thank you guys very much for having me this morning. Thank you.